Hey guys, so I'm going to be opening this box I got from Baker Creek, and we're going to see how well it shipped and see what it is. So stay tuned if you want to see what it is. Alright, so I had gotten some berries from Baker Creek. They were live plants. I thought they were going to be bare root, but they weren't. I guess I didn't read well enough for whatever reason. It does clearly state on their information, because I looked back and it does say live plant. And they have a video about somewhat of how they go about doing these. Alright, let's see if I can't pop the tape. There we go. Okay, so these little lovelies are going to be my fall gold raspberry plants. Right there. There's 3 plants that come with the order. They are $16.50. They come packed in these little fluffy peanut things. I think those are the ones, if you get them wet, they dissolve. And if you dig down far enough in there and make a giant mess in the process, it's not that bad. It was like a couple times picking them up. Yeah, those are the other ones. You find your lovely little plants. Now these guys have been in this bag approximately a week, because they have to come from Florida all the way to here. You want to carefully and gently take them out as much as possible. Hold the bulk of the plant. And tease them apart a little bit, it looks like. No, oh, oh, oh. You don't get stuck, don't get stuck. There we go. Okay. Now, last time I got these, they had a lot of damage on them. They lost basically all of their leaves. I'm just gently lifting off the very broken sections. It does appear there may be some sort of root rot going on, but it also looks like right down here roots were forming, which means you're going to have to bury them in the dirt about that much. So it's not super bad. These have a lot, and I mean a lot more leaves than the last ones I had. Although that little leaf just yeeted itself, so I'm just gonna sneak. Alright. So there. They do look a little rough, but they have been in a bag for a week, in all fairness. Oh, I need a container for you. That'll work. So I'm just going to stick them in here so I can set them up and examine them. All in all, I'm happy with what I've got this time versus last time. But this is kind of the reality of ordering live plants. You do take a bit of a risk. It's not always a 100 guaranteed thing. Alright, so in removing the rotted sections or damaged sections, or even just simple leaves, you want to be very careful and very gentle. Okay, this has a lot of growth on it, which I'm happy with. And I will be potting these into pots. I have one pot already set up. It originally had my first order in it. Actually, I might have 2 pots set up, so I might only need 1 for these guys. And what I've done with some of these really damaged pieces, they don't just come off, is I just twist and gently pull. Just to kind of break that. And by removing the damaged pieces, it allows it to not hold on to any of that bacteria or anything that may or may not be on there. Oh, that one came off okay. But it also lets the plant revert any energy that's being pushed towards those back to the actual plant. So all of these I'm going to bury them about an inch or up to the first what looks like leaf node area on this side. And so that way that section, if it is a root section, it will root on its own. Oop, off. And I'm not going to be super picky about the big leaves for now. There are lots of little leaves, if you can see that in there, those little tiny baby leaves. They do say to soak the plant. See, it says here on the bag, plant in the early spring or late winter for warmer zones. So if you are a zone 10 to 13, you can plant it either spring or winter. My zone, that's an iffy. I do get down to freezing sometimes in my particular area. My climate is a 9B, which means that my lowest can be 20 degrees. But it's above freezing. So sometimes, some years, it's very difficult to deal with the winter weather here for that short period that we have it. And then other years it's like, what winter? There was no winter. So, and sorry guys, I'm a little like blah. I just literally woke up, walked out there, grabbed those. I've barely had a sip of anything to drink, so cheers. But I needed to get this like the minute that they got in there, and I wanted to try to time it right. Okay, so it says they prefer soil with compost or aged manure couple of weeks before planting. Well, the other ones I have, they have steer manure, potting mix, and no, it's not peat, it's just steer manure and potting mix. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump out those 2 pots and put that back, and then put in some peat moss that I have to kind of help, because these guys are like literally in those little peat pellet things. So, and I like how in here, especially in here, and my tomatoes, they hold water really well. I don't have to do watering in the pots so drastically. It's just a little like top it off every now and again, and then they're fine, which is good. Alright, raspberries love moisture, so try soaking the roots an hour or 2 before planting. I'm going to do that here in a minute. Dig a hole that is roomy enough for the roots. Now, these little guys, let's see if I can grab one. These little guys, the root ball is in there. It's about yay big. So I'd say it's about an inch or so. Yeah, about an inch or so of a root ball around and about 2 inches high. So your hole is ideally going to be twice the size of that, and then you're going to backfill loosely and then just press the surface down. You know, it's not going to be that big at all, and you can actually probably just get away with literally taking an item like the back of your shovel, your little trowel. Do I have something? Yeah. So let's pretend I'm potting these right now and I'm using this. I could literally take this, indent that approximately an inch or so into the dirt, and then plop that little baby in there, and then backfill it in with the dirt that got pushed out, and it'd be perfectly fine. Or if you wanted to add more dirt on top, you know, however you want to do it, it'd be perfectly fine. Boop boop. You want to space the plants about 3 feet apart if you're doing in-ground, and you want to do a rows about 8 feet apart. So if you have multiples of these, say you bought 9, okay, and say those 3 are your rows, so they're saying that each of those rows you want to space 8 feet from each other. So you'd have 2 sections in the middle that were 8 feet for 3 rows of 3 kind of thing. And then after planting, cut back cane, leaving 8 to 10 inches. Leaving 8 to 10 inches. Okay, so these little guys, when they say cut back the canes, they're talking about these little... Come on, get off there. Okay. They're talking about this stuff. The little branches. These are canes. Now, I would not read that and immediately cut them back, because these poor little guys have been through stress. They have been through no sunlight for a week. Like, this is a lot of light for them, and I'm in my office. So what I would do, sorry, random thing in my eye, what I would do is I'd only get rid of damaged pieces, gently take them off. If I see any areas like this guy here, there's no leaf on this guy. I don't know if you see, there you go. This guy, there's no leaf. He's starting to have some rot there. I wouldn't mess with that for a little while. I would just put these in their little pots. I would set them in a nice protected area. And by protected area, I mean I would give them indirect sunlight for a while. Let them get used to being in soil again. Let them get used to being outside again. And let them get used to being in sunlight like you would harden off a plant. I would do that process where I'm going to put them in indirect sunlight. I'm going to, baby them. I'm not going to just, here you go. I would do that for at least a week or so, depending on how well they do and how hot your area is. I gotta go outside and check on the plants that I have out there. But then once these guys grow more and get bigger, and all these damaged pieces are still there kind of thing, and if they haven't fallen off on their own, then at that point I would go in and I would trim back all of those damaged pieces. So like this one's got, looks like a broken leaf. This one has what looks like to be some rotted sections, but the leaves are still green. I'm just gonna leave those. I already took off a lot of these super damaged. I mean, they're already brown. They're not even holding on. This guy was barely even attached kind of thing. Any of this stuff down here, any of that just fell off in the bag. That wasn't even me. So I would not trim these right away. I would only just gently remove the damaged and broken pieces and call it a day from there. Alright, depending on the variety you plant, you may need fashion support. A trellis or fence are good options. So sometimes raspberries are like boysenberries or tomatoes or anything else, and when they get bigger, they floop over, and they're not dying and they're not sick. They can't support themselves. So I would sit there and state, don't worry about supporting them maybe right away. These little guys, since they're kind of weak, you might want to like stick a stick in there with them or something just to kind of keep them upright, so that way if you have, like I do right now, it's kind of a windy day, I might actually do that for them. I might just fashion a little post to lean on, but other than that, they should be just fine. Okay, and then that's it really. I mean, it has a warning that these plants are young and tender, don't put them outside until the danger of frost. So I mean, as far as information goes, that's it. It's a sticker that's on the outside of the bag. So I mean, even if you didn't open these right away, you could see it's right there on the bag. It's white. So, but yeah, that's what I got from my Baker Creek thing. And the reason I got these again is, no, I did not buy these. This was not a purchase this time around. So what happened is I took photos of my other raspberries, and they basically all looked like that when I got them. They did not look good at all. And then within a day, or actually within hours, they just all did. Come here. They all did this. I don't know if you can see that very well. They all did this. So they went from having leaves to this, and within hours, and some of them within days. Now, however, that being said, I have one of them is trying to survive, so I make sure I baby that one the most. The other two I'm not sure on, and one for sure, it's done. It's shriveled up. It looks basically like this little black thing here, you know, so I just pooped it out of the pot, yeeted it into my compost, and call it a day at that point, because that one wasn't going to survive. So how I got these as a replacement is I contacted Baker Creek originally on YouTube. They had stated to email them or get them on Instagram, so I emailed them because that was the easiest way for me to keep it private, other than kind of giving everyone a, hey, these don't always pan out kind of comment. And they wanted photos because I offered to send them photos. So I took photos of every plant individually as much as possible and showed them the photos in the email. And they went through, and whatever photo they could not identify clearly because it was out of focus, they just didn't have an identifying like leaf or something to see what it is. They sent me back an email with the photo and the number that went up with the photo. So like if you were to save a photo, it'll say 271583J or something like that. And that they're like, that photo, I don't know what it is. I can't see it. It's hard to tell. But they're like, but I'm assuming because you have 3 plants that's one of them. And then all I had to do was look back in my photos to see which one was what, and I stated yes, that particular photo, I don't remember what it was exactly, but it's not really important, but that particular photo was one of the raspberry plants. And then I verified also to make sure that they knew which ones they were also looking at, that the other 2 photos that they stated that were raspberry plants truly were. So they had sat there and were like, okay, well, we're going to send you a new order for these. So about, I don't know, April 2nd, I got that, because I got these the last week of March. So April 2nd, I got that order confirmation and everything, and about 3 to 4 days later, because I had gotten with them, because I'm just impatient in general. I got with them asking what's the ETA, when should I expect to get this order. They said that they get them every week in their nursery, so I was like, okay. So about, I don't know, 3 or 4 days later, after April 2nd, and talking to them in between all that, I got a tracking number, probably because they were trying to make sure I got the order as quick as possible. And then today, they were supposed to arrive on the 16th, but it is now the 13th, so they're 3 days early. So today I got them, and they haven't even stated that they delivered them yet, because my post office is just weird about that. So as of right now, these little lovelies need some water. So I just want to thank you guys for sticking with me and seeing what I got, and just to know that the return process and or refund process or replacement process, however you want to look at that process, it's very simple. You just contact them politely, state, this is my problem, I'm willing to show you photos. They'll accept the photos. They want to see what it is. They want to see how it's doing, so they can help you. And then they will come up with a solution. Now, say for example that these were no longer in season, that they no longer had plants to give you. Well, then they're going to refund you for that plant, because there's nothing that they can do as far as I'm aware. I did, however, ask, if these weren't available, could you send me a different plant for the same price? They never said no, so I'm assuming it could be possible. You're just going to have to ask. So say, for example, that you saw that there was, let's say dragon fruit, because everyone seems to like dragon fruit right now. So let's say there was a dragon fruit plant, because they do sell that. And these guys were no longer available. They were out of stock on the website, they were out of stock in the nursery. They just didn't have them. And they had stated that they did have other items that they could send. Or they agreed that they had other items. Or even if you saw that that item was still available to purchase on their website, you could sit there and ask, because there's no harm in asking. What are they going to do? Say no? You know, you could sit there and ask and say, hey, can I just do it this way? And then see what they say. And then you just go from there, because these people seem to be very nice and very polite. They do come out of, I think it's, originally I get them from Missouri. Yeah. No. Mansfield, M.O. I think that's Missouri. 1 second. That's on the seed packets. Oh, come on. Ouch. Yeah, it's Missouri. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Alright. So these guys, originally they come out of Missouri, but they do have a nursery in Florida. In fact, one of the ladies that does the YouTube videos, her area is Florida, so that's where they do the videos from. So thank you guys for listening again, and just sticking with me in general, and I will see you guys on the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see how these guys are doing next week. Bye.